Alright, so Carter, we're going to go ahead and take a look at your motion here from sort of the home plate catcher's perspective. A little offset, but very similar angle to what I've got you paired up against here with Homer Bailey, a similar camera angle, so it's a good comparison. And Homer Bailey, I'm sure you're familiar with, threw his second no-hitter recently, and real hard thrower, 97-mile-an-hour guy. So when it comes to looking at a pitching delivery that generates a lot of power, he's a good guy to kind of look at. And again, I think similar to what you saw with Darvish, what you'll really take away from this video is how he uses his lower half, his legs, and his hips. The other thing that you can really see from this angle that I want you to take a look at is how swinging that front foot open into front foot plant is causing you to fly open just a little bit towards first base. Your front knee kind of gets outside your front foot off towards the first base side, and when that happens, you end up kind of pulling yourself off in that direction into ball release when you throw. Creates a little bit of a disconnect there and can put more stress on your throwing arm because your throwing arm will drag a little bit, and studies have confirmed that puts more stress on your arm. So that's one thing I want you to really see in this, that you can work on just by cleaning up what you're doing with your lower half. I think that'll take care of the issue that we're seeing there. So let's just watch you go into your leg lift. Again, real big high leg lift there, but no real balance issues to speak of, so I don't have a big problem with it. The main thing that I see that it could be leading to is, again, that kind of swinging the front foot open early. So let's just go ahead and pause you up now at the height of your leg lift, and we'll go ahead and look at what Homer Bailey does. Alright, so you see him loading up. Doesn't come as high in his leg lift, much more kind of under control and balanced here. But gets it up above the belt buckle, nice and gathered up. You see how he's nice and gathered up over that back foot. As you come out, just watch you come out as that leg comes down. You see he gets into sort of similar positions. Brings that leg down. And it starts kind of straightening the leg out, toes pointed towards third base. That's the main thing I want you to see, is that he's nice and closed off with his front side. You're nice and closed off with your front side, starting to really lead with your hips. He's back over his back leg, leading with his lower half and his hips. Foot's pointed towards third. Here yours is kind of towards shortstop. Not a problem as long as you can maintain that and stay closed off with your hips as you move out. Instead of, what we'll see is how you start to swing that front foot open. So right there, that action that we saw from the side view, you see here too, where right there, your foot, you don't see it as well from this angle, but that foot's kind of between third base and home plate right now, so you're starting to swing open with that front knee and front hip. We just advance Homer Bailey out. See how his front foot, still kind of closed off, even though he's straightening his leg out, and it appears he's kind of reaching out with that front leg. He's really still over that strong back leg in a position to drive out. So here's the big difference. Here's where you see he's not swinging the front foot open. If you watch the angle of his front leg, that knee right here, his hips are still closed off, relatively facing third base, and real closed off with the shoulders. And what we're seeing with you here, right there, your hips are totally starting to open up, so that knee is pointed almost towards home plate here. Hips are opening up right there, and then it's not until the last second that Homer Bailey's hips start to open. So you see you're way away from foot plant here, but your hips are already almost open. You see you still got a ways to go, and it's not until here that your front foot actually hits the ground. So when you land, this is basically where you're landing. Your knee is actually not pointed towards home plate, it's pointed towards like between home and first base a little bit, so that front foot is landing open. The knee starts to leak outside. See here, like right here, if I draw this line, that's kind of where you're coming down. That knee leaks outside towards first base, and when that happens, your body gets outside of that front foot. The throwing arm will drag a little bit. If you watch Homer Bailey, just draw a line on his front leg here, how he's landing with that front hip, real stable with that front leg. The hips fire open, kind of going into front foot plant when his foot's really bearing weight and the hips are firing open. Notice how his arm's in a good position to throw when that happens. But you'll see with his front knee, it doesn't leak outside. You don't see this angle with your front leg there really maintains that. I'm drawing lines over lines, so it's getting a little cluttered there, but I think you can see, what we're talking about. I'm just going to go ahead and erase them. If you just watch his front leg and your front leg, that big angle there. And again, it's just, I think if you stay closed a little longer as you're moving out here, if you're able to stay closed off with your hips longer and then fire open late, kind of let that front foot fire open late and then unleash all of that power that you store up in your hips, because you get that great momentum towards home plate. We just want to store up that energy in your hips longer and then let that front foot open up late and unleash all of that energy instead of swinging that front foot out so you land open and that knee leaking out towards first base, and then your head and your chest kind of opening up towards first base as you throw, causing your throw arm to drag a little bit. If you watch Homer Bailey, how closed off he is here, and then as he goes to throw, really controlled with his head right over his front foot. Those are all things I would work towards emulating, but I think a lot of that will come from just working on the lower half. Okay, so that's really what I would focus on, is the hips, staying closed longer as you move down the mound, and not swinging that front foot out open so much early. Really staying close to that front foot and then firing it open late or unleashing that power late. Because otherwise, again, I think you do a lot of things very well for a boy your age. Really good early momentum. You brace up really well with that front leg. Have tremendous follow through. Get through your pitch really well. So all good stuff going on. We just want to work on keeping those hips loaded up and closed off longer in your stride. And if you work on that, I think you'll get a lot more power in your delivery from your lower half, from your hips, leading to greater hip to shoulder separation, more powerful hip to shoulder separation, which will lead to greater velocity. So keep it up, because I think you're doing a tremendous job. But just working on that improvement with your legs, your hips, and your lower half, I think will make a big difference for you.